We are live with 0 viewers.
I'm on the page. There must be like a solid 10
3, 5.
seconds.
Hello, everyone. We're going to let a few more people come into the channel before we really get started. If you're not yet in the Slack remote meetup channel, that's where you'll be able to type questions to us. If you're listening right now and you're in the Slack channel, just type a message, say hi, so I can tell that you can hear me and that you've got a way to talk back to us. Anyone? Here we go. Hi, Pierre. Hi, Harry.
People are chatting in YouTube chat also.
In which one?
YouTube chat also.
Oh, the YouTube. I have to learn how to do that now,
Here,
the YouTube chat. I see, there's group chat there. Okay. We are a hyper-connected world.
I'm not a moderator, I guess, so I can post links.
You're not a moderator in Remote Meetup?
On YouTube.
Oh, the group
because
chat.
I guess because I'm logged in as myself or as my personal account. It's okay. I told everyone.
I didn't invite you to. Anyway, all right. I'm going to wait till we get to 16 viewers at the bottom. So if you really want me to get started, find a second laptop and sign in again. Lost one. All right, it's 5 after. We're going to get started. So welcome, everyone, to Open edX Remote Meetup. This is our November-December event. The last one we had was at the end of August. And to kind of split the difference with holidays, etc., we moved this one to the beginning of December. We hold these meetups roughly once a month. We've got a set time schedule of the 4th Thursday of the month, alternating times to try to accommodate time zones, although we can't please the entire globe. If you're not yet in the Remote Meetup Slack channel for Q&A, you should join us there. There's no Hangouts on air doesn't let anyone but the presenters speak. So your channel back to us is textually in the Slack Remote Meetup channel. We try to have community updates where we tell you about things that are going on from our point of view. Roadmap updates, which we're not going to have this month, where the product organization can tell you about they're shifting views on what's being worked on and what's coming up soon, and you can provide feedback to them. And the community spotlight, where we find a member of the community and invite them to speak at length about what they've been doing and their perspective on the Open edX world from where they sit. Today, oh, the featured topic, I messed up, this slide is not right. The featured topic today is about Ficus, the upcoming Open edX release. It is not about the Open edX community process, which was back in October. Any questions or comments about those things so far? No? Okay.
There's gonna be a lag.
Yeah, there's going to be a lag, I know. So I'm going at a stately pace here so that we have a chance for people to catch up. So, community update. The biggest news from the community team here at Open edX is that Shauna, who actually started these remote meetups when she joined us in the summer, Shauna is leaving edX. She has chosen to go and do different things with her energies, and we will miss her greatly. We are sad, and we are looking for another person to join our team. So if you have ideas, either about what the ideal skill set would be for a person to join our team, or if you have people in mind, we would love to hear all of those ideas. So we are going to be actively hiring to replace Shauna to keep the team staffed up at 3 individual contributors and Joel, our manager. The other thing to keep in mind is that we are holding the next Open edX conference in May, at the end of May, in Madrid. We are actively working on the scheduling and planning and keynotes, and call for proposals is not yet open, but we're working on getting that out there. So start thinking about what you might want to talk about at the conference. If you have ideas about how you would like it to be either the same or different than previous conferences, we'd love to hear those ideas too. But put that on your calendar, the 24th and 25th of May, 2017 in Madrid.
We'll probably open the CFP and registration in late January.
CFP and registration in late January. I see a comment coming in Slack. Will there be a hackathon at this time around? We're actively talking about how to do that. If you look at the calendar, the 24th and 25th of May is a Wednesday and Thursday. So the previous pattern of 2 days of conference and then 2 days of hackathon would be a little bit awkward to have the hackathon on a Friday and a Saturday. So we've been talking about, do we want to have just 1 day of hackathon? Do we want to have sort of a sandwich where we start with a day of hackathon, then do the conference, and then do a second day of hackathon? So ideas around how to organize a hackathon are also welcome.
We're also, I mean, we got really good feedback on the tutorials from last year. So we're trying to balance people's interest in continuing the tutorials with the hackathon. If you have feedback on how you think we should sort of balance those things, we'd love to hear it.
We have a Slack channel for events, but not one specifically for the conference, I think.
No, if we did, we probably archived it.
Yeah. I mean, for the upcoming conference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting for the Matthew needs to type faster. I'm kidding, of course. Definite +1 for the tutorials on my end. Okay, Matthew, you take all the time you need to type. We welcome the feedback in whatever form it comes. Where is... Can't find the presentation. Let's see. Okay, so on to the community spotlight. Today we have Laurent talking to us about FUN, which I will mispronounce as France Universite Numérique. They have been an early adopter of Open edX and have grown quite large and had some very ambitious things going on. And so I'm very excited to hear from the horse's mouth, so to speak, about what they have attempted and what they have accomplished and what they're looking forward to in the future. So Laurent, if you want to take over the presentation.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Let's see, not yet. I'm going to stop screen sharing. I can see your screen. Everyone else, we're still noobs with the Hangouts on air, so I'm going to ask someone to tell us in Slack that you can see Laurent's screen. Okay, Joel has given me a physical thumbs up, so go ahead, Laurent.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank edX team for inviting us on this remote meetup to talk about our use and customization of Open edX. Well, let me start by saying that even if I use the title French Touch, in our instance, there is more than just language customization to the platform, and we have done quite a lot of little things that we needed at the time. So I am Laurent David, the product owner of Fun, Jeep Fun MOOC. I will give you my detail after. I mean, you can contact me on Slack. All right, so if I go back in time 3 years ago, in 2013, the platform was launched with about 25 courses, 10 universities, and it was, and it is still, an initiative from the Department of Education and Research in France. Then by 2015, so last year, we had 29 members, 15 partners, probably 800, 900 staff teachers interacting with us, 1 million registration and 150 courses. And it was about the same time we settled as a public company. Not sure about the exact wording, but in France it's called GIP. So it's a public organization entity. Now we have roughly doubled the numbers I was talking about, and we are offering new services, certification at the end of the courses, dedicated platform, white label, and so on. So this is the state of what we are now. We have about 240 courses, 400 sessions. So sessions are the course run, really. So a course can be run twice or more. We have courses that have been there for through 5 sessions, I think, up to 5 sessions. We have about 2 million registration and counting, and 80 institutions. Well, this year, I mean, it will be there will be a lot of new things going on. We've moved forward, and we decided to split the single platform Fun MOOC into a multi-platform offer. So we have the kind of public MOOC platform, and then we have dedicated platform for dedicated uses. For example, Fun Campus for SPOC, Fun Corporate for corporate training. We have several white labels planned or being there as we speak, and this is done in the this is done. Some of them are actually live. Some of them are in the process of being launched as we speak. As per the software development side, which is the main topic of this presentation, the general idea was we wanted to keep as much in line with edX as we could. We had time where our platform was so outdated that it took months, or I think the first year, well, it took a year to update it to the latest version. and we basically lost on functionalities, ease of use, ease of maintenance. We probably gained a bit on frustration for the end user because things were not really working as expected. So we said really never again. We won't fork the edX platform code. And we'll try to keep as close as possible. So to do that, and still be able to add our own customizations, we kind of push all the customization we have made to the repository called FunUp, which is I put that on the slide. You can go. It's open source. It's you can work on that. So when we install Fun, we install FunApps on top of it. And yes, we have the open source philosophy. We all the code is in AGPL v3. We're welcoming contributions, but we will probably be very slow to moderate the contributions because we're only a small team. And we try to contribute to the common core edX whenever possible. So I'll dive a bit more into the detail of what we have done. And I've made a list there in this slide. Bear in mind that some of the functionalities that are listed here are maybe on edX in a different way. But there we kind of did that to make sure that we answer the needs at the time we had. So on the list, we have a custom theme, something to help manage users, certification, a bit of different pathway of certification. We have a custom video infrastructure. I'll come back to that. We have some analytics, which are basic, but really useful for the teachers. Oh, sorry, I forgot the S on that one. For additional X blocks, whenever we needed them. On the list that you can see there, there is something missing, which is not really taking into account all the work we have done. Is that we installed we installed edX on a custom infrastructure hosted on a center of research called CNES, and that kind of gave us a bit more work. We couldn't use the deployment script and so on. So we had to work on that at the same time. Well, maybe instead of going through the slide, I'll share the slide with you. What I can do is take a very big risk and try to do that directly on the website. So
live demo.
we'll have the demo effect, maybe. No, I'm sure we won't. So this is our site. This is fun. As you can see there, we have put forward highlighted some courses, and the main idea here was to present our main offer. So we have selected courses that we pick and we put on the front page. And you can see also that universities are on the second kind of row of the website. And because we wanted also to put forward the organizations, and they are sorted in some kind of way where, depending on the partnership we have with them, they might be displayed first and so on. So there is a bit of calculation there. But we wanted to put forward our universities. It's not only university, it can be also other type of organization, because we wanted to make sure that some people actually go to courses because of the fame of the university. So it was important also to, in the order to push forward the courses. But so that's actually our front page, and this is kind of all kind of calculated. We have added also some news to make sure that we could communicate with people in general. You can see that we are hiring some people also. That was a basic need that we had, and we also have themes, subjects, that if I click on one subject, I can go directly to the course list, and it will display all the courses that are attached to that subject. So on the course theme, I think the other main feature, well, I haven't said it's also responsive, but the main feature that yes, we have a course list. As you can see, we can filter the courses. So all the new courses, the current courses, and so on. So we can filter the courses by subjects. We have all the, well, we have all the current subjects there, and we can filter the courses by universities or language. And we can also search courses using the same edX search tool. I think we have added also the capability to search through university name and so on. So there is a bit of enhancement of the original search tool. So that's really what we have added in terms of the theme. You can see that you have also the news feed, which is using edX Django kind of facilities, and we can well, I can show you some news. You have the related news and so on. So that's all included in FunApp. That's all on top of edX, and we can manage that through either our back office. So let me show you, for example, the news. So it's pretty basic but very useful for us. We can create a new article and display it on the website. And as I dive toward the back office, really, I will show you what we use for our support team that was missing at the time in edX. That is very useful for us. We are constantly adding new things there because we need them. So, for example, you can see the course list that can be exportable. We can actually use that as a CSV file. We well, I shouldn't really show that, but we have different user where we can manage our users. Let me see if I should have something open there. Okay. Well, we can search through users. And you can actually see what the user is, what course the user is registered to, and also generate certificates for this user or owner certificates. Then, well, I wanted to show you the part. Well, we have also, I can't really show you that, but there is a certification pathway that is different from the one that you have in edX. We use ProctorU as our partners to check and verify people, and also monitor them while they are going on the exam. At the end, we have our own certificate. Let me go back to the presentation itself. So I've shown you that aspect. Well, we have a scoring system. I won't go into the detail of that we can use. We can adapt to our needs. I've shown you the managing user, and then certification. Well, I can't really show you, but this is, well, going through ProctorU, we are also delivering a certificate that is a usual web cert from edX. One other thing I also wanted to highlight that we have our own custom video infrastructure. So difficult to show you that also, but basically we had to change in 3 years. We had 3 different providers, and we decided at the end to settle for our own provider and using Amazon CloudFront as a provider. Good thing about it is that it's our own, and we can actually harness more things that we were able to do before, so adaptive streaming, DRM. But yes, in 3 years we had quite a lot of different providers, and that kind of triggered our own to have our own independence on that. The 2 repositories that I've put there are other repository. Actually, I've made a mistake on this one. It's not libcast. I'll correct the presentation. The 2 repository that one is a video front infrastructure, so the code that is managing the video uploading and so on, and the other one should be the X block that is displaying the video. Everything there is in open source also. We have our own dashboard to upload video. Well, probably I won't have time to show you that, but it's very similar to the one you have at edX. But the good thing about it is that it can have different kind of backends, so we can also upload video on YouTube. And the last one is analytics. Analytics, we know that there is a project on edX that is doing just that. But at the time, we were not able to install it. We didn't have the right infrastructure to do it. We struggled a bit with the kind of different technology that it's using, but also to maintain it was difficult. So we decided to kind of do some dashboard, be similar than the one that you have on edX. Let me show you some example. So we have added, sorry. Well, we have added some dashboards, which are, well, they look and feel is probably similar than the one that you have in edX Analytics. Student map, forum activities, answer distribution with some nice little graphs. That the need was to actually answer the needs from the teacher who didn't have much information about what people were on the course. And I think that's it for me. I'll probably be ready to answer some question on the Slack channel.
Yeah, so Laurent,
thank you very much.
This is very impressive. I just noticed from your stats that in terms of the number of courses and number of students, you're tracking at about 25% the size of edX.org itself, which is a huge fraction of the size of our site. So that's in itself is a very impressive accomplishment.
Thank you very much. I mean, it was a team effort, really. So it's.
You didn't do all this yourself?
No, not really. I mean, you mean well, we did all the development. Yeah, it was well, at the beginning, early beginning of Fun 2013, we had a couple of people from outside from Fun, but from May 2014, the team that you have seen, in different edX event were the team that were coding that and doing that.
Right. So online, if you have questions, put them in the Slack channel. I'm going to ask a few myself here, so you've got some time to get your thoughts together and type them up. Laurent, do you know of do you know of anyone else who is using the fun apps on their own site?
Well, no, we had a couple of queries sometimes, but not really. I think probably we'll need to do a bit of a community effort to talk about it. And I think that thanks a lot for enabling us to do that, because we're really open to collaboration. So that could be, yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to install it and see what, or modify
I'm
things.
very pleased to see that you have those there. One of for all of the effort that we put into making contribution into Open edX easier, as a technologist, what I'm really interested in, even more than that, is making the platform extensible enough that you can build things on top of it without having to have them contributed back into the core in order for them to be a stable place to build new features. So I'm just curious, what interfaces are you relying on in the fun apps to make them independent from the changes that are happening in the core platform?
Well, it depends on the extension, really. For example, for the video provider, we use our your extension mechanism, which is the XBlock, to make sure that we have our video player. For the course dashboard that is displayed on my screen there, that actually is another. Well, we changed the kind of URL we have. In fact, when we install Fun App, we managed to override some of the edX native URL. We then extend it through that. But there is no. We try not to modify things in the edX core. I mean, we have to sometimes. But we try not to, because then it kind of gets difficult to update when you have a major release. I mean, we didn't have that much difficulty to go toward Dogwood, which is good, because we're expecting to have a couple of friction there on some of the updates, but we didn't have that much. I mean, we had some, but not that much.
That is good, because Dogwood brought the Django upgrade with it.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's down to the people who, I mean, the team there here at Fun, who probably thought really carefully about using some of the technologies or not, to make sure that it was updatable.
Right. So Matthew in the channel has asked, can you share any more information on Fun Campus?
Okay. Well, that the Fun Campus itself is more of well, we have the public platform, which is FunMOOC, and the Fun Campus is more for University to replay the MOOCs that they had on the FunMOOC site for their own internal needs. So it's more SPOCs, if you see what I mean, not MOOCs. Same technology. I mean, we are using edX, Fun apps, and so on.
And do you know how many students are being served by that aspect of Fun?
It's fairly new, so well, I cannot really say, but we started, I believe, in October. So it's too recent to have some feedback on that.
Yeah.
But something we do believe in, definitely.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. That's one of the 3 corporate goals for edX, is on-campus education too.
Before that, we used to actually use the the course visibility catalog to hide courses. So before that, we had those courses hidden from the course list and so on, and teachers were registering the students directly.
And the corporate aspect, what sorts of changes do you see needing in the platform to support the corporate education as opposed to the MOOC?
Well, I think one of the thing is, I'll say easy analytics. I don't know if something that is probably easier to install, manage, and this kind of we can dig down a bit deeper toward the user, and because I think in the corporate education, what we often, well, there is the tendency to match cost with our spends and things like this. So I think it will be nice to have more statistics than we have on edX currently, and probably things that we cannot really anticipate. So something easy to modify, I will say.
Mm-hmm. Ignacio is typing in the channel, but it's has said that for a while, so that might be a okay, if there are no more questions, so I'm going to talk a bit about Ficus. Thank you, Laurent. I'm going to talk a bit about Ficus, and if you have more questions for Laurent, we have a Q&A section after the Ficus part where we can just throw it open to any questions. Oh, but we did get a question from Ignacio. I love the course dashboard. I'm also interested to know in more detail. Have you thought to develop that feature in a theme?
Well, that would be a question to ask to our developer, really. No, we didn't think. Well, we didn't think at the time to put it in a themeable course dashboard. Although that probably is possible. I think it's using Bootstrap. I don't want to, give you some false information, but I think it's kind of customizable.
So for those of us in the email lists or in Slack or even in GitHub pull requests, we don't always see people's affiliations. What are the names of some of your developers so we might be able to pick them out of the crowd? Laurent, you're there?
Sorry, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I thought. Sorry. Well, we have Richard Mock, who is working for fun. Sylvain Toé, Régis Bemo was working for fun, but still, working around MOOCs and edX. Julien Paillet, who was working for fun a year ago, who actually developed that course dashboard. And so, well, we if you need, don't hesitate to ask me directly, and I'll put you in contact with them. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. This is very helpful, and I'm very impressed by what you've managed to do.
Thank you very much. You too.
So as I said, we'll have time at the end of the hour for wide open Q&A on any topic, whether you think of something for Laurent about fun or any other open. Get back to my okay. Yeah. We'll get there. Okay. So we are in the thick of working on the next Open edX release, which will be named Ficus. If you aren't familiar, we name them alphabetically after trees, and this is our 6th release, Ficus. And I have a few details that I can share with you, and I can take questions on the parts that I didn't. Mike, thank you for that feedback. So the biggest changes that are coming in Ficus as opposed compared to Eucalyptus is that we are switching the operating system that we support from Ubuntu 12.04, which was released in 2012, sorry, to Ubuntu Xenial 16.04, which was released this April. So Ubuntu releases every 6 months, but only every 2 years do they have a long-term support release. And 12.04 was a long-term support. The 12.04 operating system is going out of support next April, so we need to get on to 16.04 now. That process is going well. We have pull requests all ready to go in the configuration repo. We just need to resolve some last conditionalization where needed so that we can merge them to master. The other big infrastructure change is that we are considering using Docker to support some auxiliary services. So in addition to the big battleship services like the LMS and CMS, there are a smaller fleet of services around it, some of which can run on the same machine, but for various small technical details, there are some that cannot. So for instance, the catalog service cannot currently coexist with the LMS on a machine. And so to offer that in a supported installation, we are evaluating using Docker alongside either the dev stack or the native installation as a way to let you run the catalog service as well as all of the other core services of OpenEdX. This does not mean that we are working on Docker to run the LMS and Studio. That is something that lots of people are enormously interested in, including all of us, but it's not something we're taking on for Ficus. We want to have what I'm calling the first packaging beta out perhaps as early as next week. And by packaging beta, what I mean is getting these infrastructure details settled out so that we can say, here is an installation that works the way the Ficus installation will work. It doesn't mean that we've chosen this week's edX.org release as the base for Ficus. We may release to serve as the base for the Ficus code itself. But because we've been focusing on how the installations will operate on top of the operating system and in containers, we'd like to get that work out as soon as possible so that people can take a look at it and see if it works for them, and so we can get some more experience with it. So that's the infrastructure of Ficus. For installations, we are shifting a little bit the supported installations. So in Eucalyptus, we had 3 supported installations, which were called DevStack, Full Stack, and Native. So DevStack is the installation if you want to do development on the platform, and its main feature is that it runs in a VirtualBox so that you can run it on your laptop where you're most comfortable, and it has a set of shared directories so that you can be editing code in your home environment on your laptop, but run the code inside the Vagrant VirtualBox where it needs to run. What I've called the native installation are a set of instructions that say, somehow get yourself an Ubuntu machine, and then type these 3 commands, and that will get OpenEdX installed on the machine. So native meaning you have your own machine of some sort, and you can just run these commands. That native installation, as always, is meant to be like production. It isn't a production installation because you typically, in a production installation, don't want to have all of your services running on one machine. But it is meant to be more like production. So it doesn't have shared file systems with your Mac. It has Nginx running in front of it, and so on and so forth. It's the place to start if you want to design your own production configuration. In Eucalyptus, we had an installation called Full Stack, which was also a Vagrant image. But it differed from native in arbitrary and unimportant ways. So what we're going to be doing for Ficus, whether we call it Full Stack or not, what it's going to be is simply exactly the native installation, but running in a Vagrant VirtualBox, so that if you want to run that on your Mac, you can, without having to figure out those first few steps yourself. So those are the installation methods that we'll be supporting for Ficus. I meant to add it to this slide, but I did not. We have a process for proposing and approving extensions to OpenEdX, not extensions, but changes to OpenEdX. That's called the OEP process, OpenEdX proposals. I wrote one, which is number 10, OEP 10, which covers some of this in a little bit more detail, as well as some other aspects of OpenEdX releases that might be important. So if you're interested, maybe someone can drop the URL in the remote meetup channel now. If you're interested, go read that. It's not very long, and it doesn't go into crazy, obscure technical details. It says about what I just said, but it's written out for you and covers a few more aspects as well. Of course, there are more features in Ficus than were in Eucalyptus. The best source for the detail on the features are the monthly product announcements that are on the OpenEdX portal. I literally went and read those yesterday and summarized them on this slide. So there are a number of learner improvements, authoring improvements, analytics improvements, and operations improvements that will come in Ficus simply by virtue of Ficus being based on a later release of the edX.org code than Eucalyptus was. Eucalyptus came out in the middle of July. Ficus will be based on something being released in the middle of December, so there's 5 months of work there that will be part of Ficus. The final question that everyone wants to know about Ficus is, what's the G word after Ficus? And the answer is ginkgo. And everyone has a long time to learn that ginkgo has 2 G's in it. So to get that right. George has pasted the URL to OAP 10 in the channel. So that's all the detail I have about Ficus right now. We're literally working on it. When we're not doing remote meetups, we're working on pushing that forward so that it's something that will be available to you as soon as possible. Now, we can take questions about Ficus, about fun, about anything else related to Open edX. I just want to throw it open to the floor for any questions you might have. I will wait. I know it takes a while to type them out.
Like 10-second planning.
And there's a lag. Pierre, thank you. That's, again, another thing I had meant to put on the slides and forgot. Because of the so Pierre asks about how to move from Eucalyptus to Ficus. We don't yet have that documented, but the plan is that we will not have a supported way to upgrade a machine from Eucalyptus to Ficus. And the reason is that it feels a bit too chaotic to expect that you can upgrade the operating system underneath your installed software and then upgrade all of the components that have to be upgraded in order to run on 1604 as opposed to 1204. So instead, our strategy is going to be that we will provide good instructions on how to take all of the data and other important settings from one machine to another machine. And so the way that you will move from Eucalyptus to Ficus, if you follow our philosophy, is that you will install a new Ficus machine, and then you will pull everything, all of the personality and data off of the Eucalyptus machine and put it on the Ficus machine. Now, that is a new idea from us as a supported technique, and so there may be great complication that we are underestimating now and that we will encounter. So we will need some help testing that out and understanding all of the different ways that you have added personality to your sites and how we can best help you move those from one machine to another. I'm also perfectly happy for someone to prove me wrong and show me that it's actually pretty simple to upgrade a machine from precise to Xenial and et cetera, and that I shouldn't worry about it so much. Other questions? So Mike's question, his perpetual question apparently, is someone at edX tasked with using and testing theming as the community has to use it on Ficus? So Mike, the situation with Ficus is not much different than it was with Eucalyptus. We are taking theming more seriously. We have the start of a theming working group, and Andy Armstrong, Shauna had started that group and was doing a good job getting it going. Andy Armstrong is a front-end engineer here, and he has jumped in with both feet into understanding and helping with the problems that are coming up with theming. As you noted, edX.org does not currently use the theming infrastructure in order to make the edX.org site look like edX.org. And we philosophically agree that that is the best way to go, but there is work to be done to put us in that position. The people at edX who are most in that position are the people who build our white label sites. So what we call our solutions team is the people who build customized sites for people on top of Open edX. And they are using the theming infrastructure and in fact have done a lot of the work to make the theming infrastructure today be what it is. So we all understand philosophically and agree, and we just need to put the work in. Being part of the theming working group and underscoring that point and helping us see with your eyes how we can be doing things better is probably the best way to move things forward right now.
I also want to add that I think, so this is a specific instance of a more general challenge that we have with features that are primarily used by the community. So we have very specific use cases for theming, and we test those as part of our due diligence for releasing edX.org. I think there's an opportunity on a lot of on these types of features for there to be a community lead that both has a level of empowerment and responsibility for helping maintain the quality and use cases of the community, and I think that's something that we would welcome volunteers around.
Shauna was going to be leading the theming working group, and now that is George's task to help the community come together with a single voice to help push theming forward. So get in touch with George, find out where the theming group is doing its stuff, and help us is basically the message with theming. Mike, I would also like to see the white label folks in theming more to help with that, and I'm encouraging them to do that. Where do we stand with XBlock localization? Again, the solutions team has been at the forefront of XBlock localization. I thought that they had a solution that was working for them, so we may need more details about what you find lacking in XBlock localization. In some ways, the solutions team is the best proxy for the community inside edX in terms of actually doing technical work with the same tools that the community uses.
And facing many of the same challenges.
Yeah, facing many of the same challenges, exactly. So the good news is we understand the problem. The not so good news is we still have some work to do to push towards us being a little bit more in an equivalent situation to you, so that in sort of a visceral way, the problem. While we're waiting for more questions, if you have an idea of something you would like to see discussed at one of these online meetups, if you have a site or technologies that you would like to show off at one of these meetups, please get in touch with me or with the OSCM at edX.org team to let us know what you'd like to hear or what you'd like to say. We're always interested to make this less of edX speaking out and the community speaking together. So Ignacio, by multilingual courses, I'm assuming you mean a single course that is offered in more than one language. We don't have a way to do that. The way we've solved that problem in the past is to have course teams create 2 courses with similar content, but in 2 different languages. And I know there's all sorts of ways that is not a great solution. X blocks are sort of at the wrong level to solve that problem. X blocks are the individual components within the course, so it's sort of way too far down the tree of course structure to solve that problem. I think. I'm talking off the top of my head, but I guess there could be cool ways that the content in X blocks was itself multilingual, and so each X block in the tree would sort of flip and flap to show you the proper language, but we don't have a way to do that now. Right, Ignacio. So if X blocks were extended so that the content they were presenting, if they had multiple choices of these specific contents, one for each language, something like that maybe could make some sense. We don't have it yet, but that was a very interesting idea that would be very cool to see pushed forward. So Matthew, you're suggesting hearing about teams looking at redesign. So maybe we could get Mike to talk about what he's managed to do in the problems he's found. Yeah, so, oh, Ivan, so are you behind Pimp My English? We love that site, that's amazing. So it looks like maybe the topic for January is going to be Ivan showing us how he built that site. That would be. We could continue our run of French open edX sites. We're huge in France. We're the Jerry Lewis of online education. We're huge in France. Any other questions? We're almost at the end of our hour here. We don't have to have a strict cutoff, but if there are no more questions, we've had a good Pierre. That's right. We clearly have a French strong arm community here. Okay, so let me just scooch ahead to the next. See you in January. So we have a date picked for our January 26th, 3 p.m. US Eastern Time. We will, of course, send out more detailed announcements and specifics as that date gets closer. Again, if you have ideas of things you'd like to hear about, we've already selected a possible topic for January, but any ideas are great. Tell your friends to come and join us so that we can get a big discussion going here at the next remote meetup. And if there are no more questions, we'll sign off. I'll wait one more minute to see if there's another question since we've got one more minute. And thanks, of course, to Laurent for giving us a great overview of all the things they've done at Fun. As always, we'll see you in Slack. We'll see you on the mailing lists. Rowan would like to hear about discussion forum development. That's a good idea. That's pretty central to lots of course experiences. And bulk mailing. I shouldn't have asked for ideas. I'm getting too many ideas. Okay. Thank you, everyone. We will see you again in January and on Slack as always. Extend bulk email in order to send. I will find someone to talk about bulk email maybe. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I am signing off now.